Welcome to another episode of Mystic Skeptic Radio's Uncensored. I am David Daniel, your host, and we are doing our monthly rant about what's going on in the world. Um, Throughout the 10 years that our show has been around, I've been doing a review of issues that have been affecting our society. And it's very disappointing to tell you guys that Kanye West did it again. And I know it sounds like a broken record when Jews complain about anti-Semitism. So I'll explain myself in a minute. But the most disappointing thing is that Russell Brand, someone that I admire as an advocate for mental health and spiritual support for people with addiction, has decided to go troll just like Kanye. And he posted this on X recently. Quote, Heil Hitler at Kanye West is uncancelable because he reached such a senate in the culture that he couldn't be killed. I think people would like it if he died. Why? Because he has a problem for their agenda. He is a problem for the agenda. Also, let's be honest, the hook is catchy. So he's saying that the new Kanye West song, Heil Hitler, is cool enough and exciting enough that he has out-trolled the trolls. He has become the unmovable rock that someone of his caliber and fame can be. And just like Donald Trump, he can say whatever he wants, and all he's going to be is loved. Even by the people that malign him, he will be respected and loved because he had the guts to do something so controversial. So now we're dealing with controversy just for the sake of controversy. But in his song, Kanye West says that he feels that they've taken away his kids and that they try to take away his empire. And they is the boogeyman that has been rising his ugly head, which is the international Jew or the mystical Jew or the never dying Jewish trope of a cabal of people who are trying to destroy the world. Of course, there is issues right now with the way that Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud party are conducting the assault on Gaza. But real quickly, it turns into the West against the Jews, the East against the Jews, Christianity and Islam against the Jews, and every stereotype, destructive, negative perspective, baseless accusation comes to the forefront. Of course, there's good and bad people in the Jewish community like everywhere else. Of course, there are people who are very corrupt and who misrepresent the ethnic group and the religion, but people want to overly focus on that. So what I would call that is political anti-Semitism, which takes its form in extreme anti-Zionist perspective, which you can be anti-Zionist, you can be anti the state of Israel, you can be against the Jewish people in a free country where there is freedom of speech. But what can be labeled as anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic, or destructively anti anybody who believes in the possibility of Jews living in the Middle East is when it becomes a vitriol against the Jewish people as a whole. So Kanye West is doing this I love Hitler thing that a friend of mine did in high school. And when she, in history class, said she loved Hitler, she was saying that maybe Hitler was right about exterminating a third of the population because there's too many people in the world and we're running out of resources. But this famous singer and multiple Grammy winner is trying to emulate and connect with the Hitler rhetoric of exterminating his enemies, condemning those that oppose him, and finding a scapegoat for all his problems in the Jewish people. We have seen scapegoating against immigrants, against African Americans, against Middle Eastern folks, but the group that is always considered as the scapegoat historically is the Jewish people, because there is a 3,000-year-old, maybe 2,200-year-old conflict with them, either because they believe something that is not very popular, such as monotheism back in the Greek and Roman times, or because they are seen as the precursors of Christianity, which is now is the supreme religion, which everybody should follow, and anybody who doesn't is at fault for the death of Christ and been kind of left behind. Or in the case of Islam, they were the enemies of Muhammad, and they caused a lot of trouble for him as he was trying to get his movement going. Similar to the way that the life of Jesus depicted, which historically and even the Gospels is exaggerated to make theological points. So going back to Kanye West, you can be talented, you can be tormented genius, like he would think of himself, but to blame everyone for your personal problems, it seems despicable. And then finding a group of people that maybe he's had negative interactions with some producers or musicians, with the people who run the music business, who a lot of them were Jews because they weren't allowed to be in other different type of businesses back in the 30s and 40s, and then they became crucial to the record industry. So you just have someone who is clearly disturbed and is taking this as an opportunity to anger people. But the question is, does it really anger anyone anymore to hail Hitler as the supreme leader? He's been dead for 75 years. He still lives on in his followers' aspirations that a new Hitler would come. It's almost like a messianic dream. And it is a fantasy that someone who's African American would be accepted by Nazis if he has the same type of radical views of exterminating lower races. There's already a movie called Iron Sky where Australian black person pretends to be white and joins the reconstituted Nazi regime, which has been hiding in the moon, and but he goes in as a spy. Some people think that Kanye West is some type of double agent who's trying to point at the obvious hatred of the Jewish people and make it more acceptable, so then the Jewish people have some ability to either migrate to Israel or to keep getting attention, because if you don't see anti-Semitism for what it is and it doesn't come to the surface, it's hard to combat it. I believe the best way to combat hatred of other people is through education and through showing good examples of members of the community versus these negative stereotypes that are often portrayed. And we have to take into account the importance of humanity and each individual being unique and special in the eyes of God. And we should all be considered brothers and sisters. So when an individual, a provocateur like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, now Russell Brand, and Kanye West goes around saying something hateful, the more we talk about it, the more we emphasize what they did, the more it becomes common and normal for people to hold those views. And then next thing you know, it's part of our common lingo to have these type of views. And if you're true free speech absolutist, you can say and believe anything you want. But some of us believe that when it's harmful, when it becomes a call for destroying the other people, it's a form of hate speech. So now hatred of others has become acceptable. And this, in my eyes, comes back to the 2016 leading to the election rhetoric that was being discussed by Trump and his followers. And then the Democrats became the thought police, and they started policing language and free expression. And now you have the complete opposite, where people can say whatever they want and stir up trouble and dissension among the populace. As someone who comes from a country where if a reporter speaks ill of the leaders or gang or narco traficantes, they get killed. I believe that freedom of expression is very important, a foundational right of the U.S. So instead of banning his song, we should discuss his song. Let me see if I can pull up the lyrics and we can discuss it further. So this is an article from a website called Mandatory. Is by the Evolve editors. Kanye West Heil Hitler song and controversy explained. Kanye West's controversial new track, Heil Hitler, has sparked confusion among fans. The rapper recently disclosed on social media that he's facing pushback about performing the song. Despite these challenges, West remains determined to include the contentious track in all his upcoming shows. So here's everything we know about the rapper's latest track and why it has ignited controversy. Kanye West's new song, Heil Hitler, explained. The Grammy-winning hip-hop artist's new album, World War III, features the track Heil Hitler, which includes problematic lyrics. The song reflects Kanye West's recent attitude towards Nazis, as the rapper calls himself a villain, openly chanting Heil Hitler throughout the song. In Heil Hitler, West makes a series of debatable claims as he disses Drake. He raps the N-word as be acting like something so much. I think they might be Drake. They don't understand the things I say on Twitter. All my fellow Black people are Nazis. Yes, Heil Hitler. In recent X, formerly Twitter posts, the runaway singer revealed that he's facing issues with performing his new song on stage. He shared, "I'm being told there is an issue with me performing Heil Hitler and doing Heil Hitler at all my shows." Meanwhile, fans have expressed disappointment in Kanye West's insistence on performing the problematic tracks despite the obvious pushback. One user commented on the rapper's post, "Kanye West will be remembered as one of the greatest artists who destroyed his own legacy." Second fan echoed the same emotion, posting on Reddit, "He ceased to drop his already so he can move on to bully and give us more real music." West released 2025 album World War III in April. The new album included 11 tracks with controversial titles. Several songs include instances of Nazi imagery in public figures. Moreover, the new album intensified the recent backlash that he has been receiving over his social media comments and wearing KKK-inspired outfits. On the track list, two songs directly reference Hitler by name, Heil Hitler and Hitler, Ye, and Jesus. The original track list also includes a song named after West's ex-wife, Bianca Censori. Additionally, fans have been waiting for Kanye's upcoming album, Bully, which might drop this year. According to a rapper's recent interview with Justin LaBoy, may arrive on his daughter's birthday, June 15th. It's also disclosed that his son Saint was a profound inspiration behind the upcoming album. Okay, so So since the song is banned, it's really hard to find the lyrics. Now, this is an article from haaretz.com on X. This is Israeli newspaper. Ye, the rapper formerly known as Kanye West, continues a string of anti-Semitic provocations on Thursday as he released a new single. He also has a sample of Hitler's speech. This is from JFeed. I couldn't get the article from Haaretz. In the latest track, Ye glorifies Nazis, mocks Holocaust victims, and taps into the rage of millions, trolling is targeted genocidal propaganda. The lyrics of Heil Hitler are explicitly inflammatory. Ye raps, so I became a Nazi, yeah, female dog, I'm the villain, Erpili chants, N-word, Heil Hitler in the chorus, directly referencing Nazi salute and Hitler's regime. He ties his embrace of Nazism to personal struggles, stating, with all the money and fame, I still can't get my kids back, so I became a Nazi. These lines suggest that his adoption of extremist ideology is a response to personal pain, trivializing the atrocities of the Holocaust and the suffering of millions. The casual use of racial slurs along Nazi rhetoric furthers the song's offensive nature, blending multiple forms of bigotry into a single toxic narrative. He also references his controversial social media presence, rapping, they don't understand things I say on Twitter. The line appears as miscriticism of his anti-Semitic posts, which have included praising Hitler and denying the Holocaust. The song's title and content are part of Ye's well-known pattern of anti-Semitic behavior. Since 2022, he has made increasingly brazen statements, including declaring I love Hitler on Alex Jones' InfoWars, posting a swastika intertwined with a Star of David on X, and selling t-shirt and blazon with swastikas labeled HH01, code for Heil Hitler. These actions led to severed partnership with Adidas, Gap, and Balenciaga. This was suspension from social media platforms in February 2025. He retracted a 2023 apology to the Jewish community, proclaiming himself a Nazi in social media rant. Heil Hitler builds on trajectory, weaponizing Ye's platform to normalize Nazi ideology. Yet the Information League has warned that Ye's rhetoric is dangerous and irresponsible, knowing that his 2022 anti-Semitic comments were linked to 30 anti-Semitic incidents nationwide. By invoking Hitler, Ye not only trivializes historical trauma, but also encourages white supremacists and neo-Nazis, as evidenced by white nationalist Nick Fuentes predicting stadiums of fans chanting Heil Hitler. Why is it evil? Glorification of genocide. The Holocaust is one of history's greatest atrocities, with millions systematically murdered under Hitler's regime. By chanting Heil Hitler and calling himself a Nazi, he glorifies a symbol of unimaginable suffering, spitting in the face of survivors and their descendants. This is not artistic expression, it's a deliberate act of cruelty. 2. Exploration of pain. He claims that his inability to see his children drove him to Nazism. It's grotesque manipulation. He equates personal struggles with the ideology that fuel a genocide, cheapening both the Holocaust's gravity and his own circumstances. This narrative also risks resonating with others who feel disenfranchised, potentially radicalizing vulnerable listeners. Spreading hate. With 32 million followers on X, Ye's influence is undeniable. His rhetoric provides a megaphone for anti-Semitic tropes, fueling real-world harm. The ADL has noted a rise of anti-Semitic violence globally, and Ye's words contribute to this climate of fear. Collaboration with figures like Fuentes, a known Holocaust denier, further legitimizes extremist ideologies. 4. Moral bankruptcy. These defenders, including some ex-users, argue that Heil Hitler is a troll or a bit of for attention. But provocation for provocation's sake is not neutral when it targets a historically oppressed group. Song's sketchy production and Ye cultural cachet risk normalizing hate, making it palpable to fans who might otherwise reject such ideas. While some argue that ignoring Ye is the best response, silence risks normalizing his behavior. Leora Rez of Anti-Semitism of Stop Anti-Semitism has emphasized that Ye's influence makes his rhetoric on uniquely dangerous, urging platforms to curb his reach. Song's timid release timing, released just before the Victory Day, commemorating the defeat of Nazism, adds extra insensitivity. Kanye West's Heil Hitler is not a misunderstood work of art or a clever provocation. It's anti-Semitic filth that glorifies a genocidal ideology, exploits personal pain to justify hate, and endangers Jewish communities by normalizing Nazi rhetoric. The way we react to this kind of stuff also becomes part of the problem or part of the solution. So if we cry wolf too many times, it's hard for us to be taken seriously. And that's what's been happening with the Jewish community before October 7th. There was so many times where people were accusing others of anti-Semitic verbiage or hatred that it's easy to not be taken fully seriously. So what we need to think about is how when we respond to something, we have to take into consideration what the event was and what our response is. So somebody goes around calling us names or glorifying somebody that hurt people from our community. We can do two things. We can become angry, insult them back, create some type of counterattack, or we can use it as an opportunity to educate people and help them grow in their understanding of why this is not tolerable. A friend of mine is big on zero tolerance for hatred, discrimination, sexism, racism. So, as human beings, we should consider the impact of these things on children, on the next generation, on the people who were not affected by World War II and did not witness the atrocities that were committed for the sake of nationalism. We need to be vigilant so we don't become desensitized to the problems that can arise when people are being categorized in destructive ways. And we have to remember that a lot of the hatred towards Jews comes from ignorance, and it comes from projecting their own misgivings and desires for world domination onto others. Of course, there's good people on every front, and we have to be an example. So when people throw insults our way, they don't stick. But Kanye West has a long history of making very destructive, hateful accusations, and he has to be responded to. So I will end this program with the following. Was Hitler a great guy? No. He was a worthless artist who became enamored with his culture, which it wasn't fully his culture. He was an Austrian who lived in Germany, and he had very little to show for in his life, and he used and manipulated people to be able to get his way. Does he deserve love and respect from anyone? I would say that all human beings deserve to be loved and considered children of God and seen in a positive light. But someone like him who chose evil and who had many times to repent or relent from his accusation and hatred, and he saw the damage that was causing to his own people and to others, is despicable and has a special place in hell, if there's such a thing, for being responsible for the death of millions. To antagonize others by praising him is a low blow, because if Kanye West was such a wonderful person as he thinks he is, he would be praising himself, not the Nazis and Hitler. So he is emulating a group of people that are despicable. And then what's interesting is that now everything is being twisted and turned around. So if people are willing to justify him and say that the Nazis weren't that bad or they were misunderstood, stuff like that, then why not do that with other groups that we consider hateful? It's easy to come hard on people that we disagree with or who are doing things that we find harmful. But when someone that we like, that we agree with, that says something that motivates us, then suddenly every excuse under the book is in the books is thrown their way. And it's almost part of what happened with Hitler, where people felt that he was speaking on their behalf and that he was the only one addressing their concerns. So the more attention we give Kanye West, the more empowered he would feel for his disturbing views, and the more we are feeding into the madness that would take to praise the most evil person in recent history. To make another ridiculous point that that you're a genius, that everybody should love you, that you're being misunderstood. I think we are all kind of fed up with false victimhood narrative from anyone. So as much as I want to pray for Kanye West and hope that he finds his way, it's indefensible to have someone, a grown person, be so dismissing of the suffering of others and so irresponsible with his platform. Thank you.